And welcome back to the second part of this tutorial series. In this part we're going to continue on the to-do list from the previous part. So we have come to the part where we're going to work with the leads. So here we need a new Django app and we need to set up the database models and we need to set up view and forms for creating new views, forms for leads. And we need a page where we can list out all of our leads, and view detail page of leads. So we can begin with this for now. So now we need to create the new Django app. So we need to go to the terminal and stop the web server. And to create this, we just say Python 3, manage.py, start app, and lead. So now that we did that, we can open up settings.py and add it to the list here, lead, and save. So now we have the app and we have registered it in settings.py. So then we can continue to the database model. So we can open up lead/models.py and then just remove this comment. And then to create the database model, we say class and then lead. Pass in models.model just like we did when we created the user profile. And then here we want a reference to the person who created this. So created by equals request dot, sorry, not request, but models.foreign key. And we can pass in user and set the related name to leads. So this makes it very easy to find all of the leads that the user has created, and we always know who created the lead. And if we delete a user, we also want to delete all of the user's leads. So here we need to pass in models.cascade. So I see here that I get this error because I haven't imported this. So from django.contrib.auth.models import user. And I also want to know when, remember capital U. And I want to know when I created it. So created at equals models.date time field. And we can set this to auto now add equals true. So when this is added, this is automatically filled out. But I also want to know when we modified this. So modified underscore at, equals models.date time field. And this is just auto now equals true. So since we don't have this add, it means that every time we save this database model or an object, this will be automatically updated to set the modified at. So now that we have this, we need a few more fields. I want to know what priority this lead has. So is it low, medium, and high. And to be able to choose from these, we need a tuple or a list. So choices, priority, create a tuple, and then low. Now we set low. And this low is the label we will see in the forms and in the admin area. And this is the value that we save in the database. Some people use, for example, just 1, but it's very hard to understand what this 1 means. So it's much better to use low. And the reason why I save it up here is because it's very easy to reference this from other places in the project. I will show you this later. And then we need to add one for the medium, and high. High. Like that. And then we need a field also. So priority equals models.char field. Max length can be set to 10 because none of these are more than 10 characters. And now we set choices equals choices priority. And we can also set the default value. And I like to set this to medium because usually a lead has either because a choice typically has medium as the priority, but some has very low priority, but some has very high. And I also want to make it possible to change the status, like if it's a new lead, if you have contacted the user or owner, if you won it or lost it, and similar. So new equals new, contacted, won, lost, like that. We can add more here if we wanted, and we can also remove here if we wanted to do that. So then we need to create a new choices tuple, status, new, contacted, one, and for the lost as well. Okay, forgot to like that. It's also typical best practice for Python to have a comma at the last property inside a tuple like this. So then we just need to add the char field for this as well. Models.char field, max length can be set to 10. Choices, here are choices status, and the default will be new, like that. So now we have a few more fields. So now we should also have fields for the name of the lead, for example, a company name or just a person. So we set this to name, models.char field, max length can be 255. And we need the email address to the one we contact, email, models.email field. We can have phone here, we can have website, we can have description. There are so many things we can add here, so I just want to keep this to a minimum. But I want a description here, models.text field. And this can be set to blank equals true and null equals true, in case we don't want to add a description for a specific lead. Like that. So that's all of the fields I want for now. So now that we have that, we can update the database, Python 3, manage.py, make migrations, and also Python manage.py, migrate. So now we have it there. So if I run the web server again, go to Chrome and into the admin area, then you can see here that it's not listed here. So we need to register it with the admin interface like we did inside the user profile. So from .models import lead and admin.site.register lead. So if I refresh now, we have the leads here. Nice. So let's just try to create one. So we have one test lead, hello at do.no. This is the test description. Priority medium. Here you can see these labels, and these labels can be like they are and created by, can be I can set this to admin since I'm logged in with the admin user now, and it's easier to test later. So save. And as you can see now we have one lead in the database, and if you see here we have this object representation of the lead, which doesn't mean anything or doesn't make any sense. So let's show the name there instead. So if you just go back to models.py, we can say def __ str self return self.name. So now we change the name representation of this class. So if I refresh now, you see test lead instead. Nice. So now that we have that, we can go back to the to-do list, set this to done. The next step then is to make it possible to create new leads. So here in the dashboard, I want to have a button up here for new leads. So let's begin with that one. If I just open up base.html, we can add it between the dashboard and the logout button. Can just make a copy of the dashboard button, say new or add lead. And we don't have any URL for this yet, so we can just point to this. So refresh, and now we have the add lead page or button. So the next step then is to create a view for this. So if you open up TLCRM lead views.py, then we can create a new here, def add lead, pass in the request parameter. And I do want this page to require authentication, so we have to add this login required, and we need to import this from django.contrib.auth. Decorators, import login required. Now we can just say return render, pass in the request parameter and say lead slash add underscore lead.html and save. So the next step then is to create this template. So we have it. We need to begin with the folders, templates, lead, and in there add lead.html. And I think I can make a copy of a little bit here so I don't have to write these lines. So add lead and add lead and block and save. So now we have the view and we have the template. So the next step then is to create a new urls.py file. So here I can import the path from Django Django.urls import path, and we want to import all of the views from this app. So from .import views, and then we create the URL patterns path, and when this is add-lead, then we want to open up the view called views.addLead, and the name for this is addLead, and save. So now we have this here, but Django still doesn't know anything about this, so we need to import this to the main URLs. And I want to add this above this dashboard here. So path dashboard / leads include lead.urls. So all URLs beginning with dashboard / leads will use this one. And then the URL will be dashboard / leads / add lead for this page. And Django will figure out this automatically. So if I now open up the base.html again, then I can just replace this with add lead, and then Django will handle the rest for us. So if I refresh now, I can click this and I will be sent to the add lead page. Nice. So as you can see up here, we have a little bit of space there and there, and I want that on the sides here. I also want space above and below the title. So let's go back here. Just want to see how much space I have up in the menu, py6 and px6. I think I can add a div around this h1, div class, add these two, indent this and close the div. So then I want to have a form here where we can fill out the information we need about the lead. But instead of just adding the fields manually here, I want to utilize something called forms or model forms from Django. So inside this lead folder, we create a new file, forms.py. And the reason why I use this forms.py instead of just manually creating this is that now Django will handle validations and similar for us. So let's import model forms from Django import forms, and from .models import lead. And then we say class add lead form, pass in forms.modelForm. And we use model form because then Django will create this for us based on information we set here in the class meta. So here we just say model equals lead and which fields we want to show in the form. And we obviously want the name, we want the email and the description. And we want the priority and the status. Rest of the fields doesn't matter to us right now, these three here, because we want to add these two are added manually and this needs to be added, sorry, these are added automatically, but I need to add this manually later. So if I now go back to the views.py file, then, sorry, just go to the forms, see that everything here is okay, yes. Then I can go to the views.py and import the form here. From .forms, import add lead form, then we can create it here. Form equals add lead form. Then we just pass it into the template from here. Form, and save. So now we just do exact thing as we did in the sign up place, except that we used add lead form instead of user creation form. So now we want to render this here. So create the form method, post, action is dot, which is the page we are on. Now we need the CSRF token again, and then just form.sp. And then below here we can have a submit button. I will just copy this from the sign up page. Copy and paste. So if I save now, I can go back and refresh and we see the name, the email, the description, and then choose between the different priority and status. Nice. So I will handle the styling of this later because obviously can't look like this, but for now we just want to make everything work. So now that we have this, we need to handle the submission in the back end. So here we need to check if the request method is post. So if request.method equals post, then we can create a new form, add lead form, and pass in request.post. And then Django will fix a lot of things for us. But we need to check that if the form data is valid, so if form.is valid, then we can create a new lead by saying form.save. But if we went through with this now, we would get an error because the created by hasn't been set yet. So we need to set commit equals false here to prevent it from saving in the database. Now we can say lead.created by equals request.user. So now the logged in user will be the person who created this. And we can say lead.save. And when this is done, we want to redirect the user back to the leads page where all of the leads are listed out. We don't have this yet, so we can just redirect the user to the dashboard page. So return, redirect, dashboard. And we can just put in a name here and Django will figure this out for us. So we need to import this shortcut as well. And if it's not a post request, we just have an empty form. So what happens here is now that if you submit this and this doesn't go through because it's not valid, then errors will be added to the form and we will just go down here again and render the form and Django will show the messages for us, or the error messages. So let's try to create a new lead. Test lead 2. Description, medium, high, status can be contacted. So I was redirected to the dashboard, which means that this was probably working now. So that means that I can go to the to-do list and set this to done. And then I want to list out all of our leads. And I want one more page up here for that. So let's go to the views.py and create this in lead views.py. Can add this at the top at login required def leads request, And then we want to get all of the leads from the database. So leads, okay, I shouldn't have the same name there as there. So maybe I should rename this to leads list. And then leads equals lead.objects.filter created by equals request.user. So now you'll only get leads that you have created. So I need to import the database model. From .models import lead. Then we can say return render request template, no, lead slash leads list.html, and we can pass in all of the leads and save. So then the next step is to create this template, leads list.html, make a copy of this and paste it here, leads and leads, and just close everything here, block, save. And then I just want to import this into the URLs to make sure that we can test this path. Set this to be empty since we already added dashboard/leads in the main URLs file. And then views.leads list name leads list and save. So then we can open up base.html again and add the button there. So we can copy this button, paste it on the next line, leads list, leads, and save. So if I go back now, refresh, then we have the leads there, and we have the title. Actually, I want to move this button down here so we don't have too many buttons up in the menu. So let me just take this, cut, and save, and paste this below the title. Nice. So as you can see here, this is now overlapping there, and that's because the anchor tag or this button is an inline element. So if we just add block to this one, okay, fills out the whole screen. So let's say inline block, like that, nice. But we also want some more space below the title. So MB4, save and refresh. And then below here, I want to list out all of the leads that we have. So to do that, we can loop through the leads we got in views.py, this list here. So for lead in leads, and then for each of these leads, I want to have a div. So you're going to add some classes to this later. Now we can just show the name here. So paragraph lead.name and save. So refresh, and then it's test lead and test lead 2 because I own both of these. So it can't look like this, and we want some more fields here as well. So let's create a new div up here, and then div, sorry, I can say p name and p priority, yeah, okay, that's correct. Status. And then if I now save this, you will see that these are on different lines, but I want them listed out and over the screen. So just a div class, flex, and justify between. So now all of the available space will be added between these. Nice. And I want the same thing down here, but we can also have some space up here and the background color. So py4. No, I want to add this on these actually. So on all of these three, class py4 px2, background or bg gray 200, and font semi-bold, and save. Okay, looks a little bit better, but I think it's a w full. then they will fill out more of the place here. Nice. So we need some space there as well. So on this flex we can say MT6 margin top 6 and save. And then I want to list out the leads down there. So we have the paragraph and we want to show the lead.priority and the status, lead.status. Refresh, and now these are not on the same line, so we need to add the flex and the justify between. Oops. And these down here, we also need a class py2 px2 and the w full, so they are the same size as the ones up here. Nice. Maybe we should try to add zebra stripes to this so that this have a gray background but this doesn't. So to do that we need to use a cycle property from Django. Django template cycle, and then just copy this, and then I can say bg gray 100, and this can be empty. bg gray 100, bg gray 100, and save. So that means that on the index 0 this will show, and then on index 1 this will not have any classes. So refresh, then you will see that the 1 has background, and if there was a third that would also have a background color. Nice. So now we have a way to list out these. As you can see here, we are not showing the actual label but the value that we have in the database, and we want to show the label instead, so we need to get underscore priority label, and same with this, get status label. That's not correct. Get priority display. Yes, that's correct. So display. So now we show the one that we want to show there instead. Nice. So if I go back here now and go to the to-do list, I can set this to done. And then I want to make it possible to click on this title here to be sent to the detail page. Before I continue, I just want to say thanks to all of my patrons. If you too want to support me, you will find a link in the description below. So to do that, we need to create a new view. At login required def leads detail request, but here we also need to add a PK, which stands for primary key, which is the ID of the lead. And then we need to get this from the database. Lead equals lead.objects.get PK equals PK. And then return render request lead/leads detail.html. Then we pass in the lead and lead like that. The problem now is that if I went and change the URL, I could get a lead from anyone I wanted. So I want to filter and show, make sure that we only get all of the leads that I have created, and then we get the one based on the primary key from this one. PK, this one is the file, the field on the database model, and this is the one we get from up here from the URLs. So we can save this now and then import this to the URLs. So below here, path, and here we want to inspect an integer called primary key, views.leads detail, name leads detail, and save. So if I now go back to the leads list, I need to change the name here to a link. So href URL leads detail, and then we can just pass in the lead.id here like that, and then we need to close the anchor tag at the end. So now this lead.id is the one we get here, and it's also the one that is passed in as a primary key here, and the one we are using to get from the database. So if I refresh now, I should be able to click this, and then I was sent to here, leads/1, and then I get the template does not exist error. So let's create that template. So just go here, make a copy of this, create a new file, and save it as leads detail.html. And here as the title, we want to show the lead.name, and the same up in the browser tab. So, and block and save. So if I go back now and refresh, you'll see the title of the lead that we want to show information about. Nice. So then below here, I want to show the information like the description and the status and the priority and similar. So if I just go back here now, I can check that if this lead has a description, if lead.description, then we can add the paragraph lead.description. Then we can close this, and if save, fresh, then see this is the test description. Maybe we want to show a little title, font semi-bold, name, like that. Nice. And then we can add the p class font semi-bold, and here we want to add the status. I'll show the status below here. All leads has a status, so we don't have to check if it has that here. So here we just say lead.get status display, save. Nice. So I also want one of these for the priority, and get priority display. So we should have some spacing between these. So at this and this and this, we can say MB2 and save. So if I refresh now, we have some space. No, sorry, I don't want it on the title. I want it on this one, class MB2, and refresh. So now there are space between these. And at the bottom here, I just want to show when we created this lead and when it was last modified. So I can copy this, created at, copy and paste, modified at. And now these should also have this MB2. So the space is correct. Nice. And if I wanted to change how this date is presented, I can just pipe this in to date filter and then say, for example, month, day, and the year. Then you'll see November 20th, 2022. And if I want to show the hour and the minute, I can just say age : I and refresh. So 1718, which is the typical way we say it here in Norway, but in US and similar you use PM, 5:18 PM. Nice. So it can just be like this. I can just use the default one. Just wanted to show you, and refresh. So now we have a detail page for the leads as well. But I want to show you one more thing here. Instead of getting the leads like this, we can use a shortcut. So lead equals get object or 404. And then I pass in the lead model and created by equals request.user and pk equals pk. So what happens here is that I get the object, or Django will raise a 404 error for us, and I get this object based on this database model where the created by has to be you and the primary key has to be the one up in there. So now I get this error down here because I haven't imported this. Get object 404, and this is also a shortcut from Django. So if I just save this now and refresh, everything is as it was before. Then at the bottom here, maybe I should have a link to go back to the leads page. So here, class MB6 ahref URL leads list back to leads and save. Nice. So then I can click this to be sent back here. So now it looks like everything with the leads are working. So I can go to the to-do list again and set this task to done, and I can set this task to done. Next step then is to make it possible to change and delete leads. So we can begin with deleting leads. That's very easy. So here we also want to require login, and then def leads delete, pass in the request parameter and the primary key. And then we can also get the lead the same way as we do up here. And then we can say lead dot delete, and then everything is ready. So now we can just redirect the user back to the leads list page, return, redirect, leads list, and save. Then we just have to tell Django where to find this in the urls.py. So the path here, I want to pass in the integer primary key, and then slash delete views.leads delete name leads delete and save. So that's everything in the back end. That just means that now we need to have a button here. Can add two HRs here, and then a button ahref URL leads delete. Then we just pass in the lead.id, delete, remove this, save. So if I now go back and into one of the leads, we have the delete button there. Just need to space with these HRs. So class my4, and I can have this on this as well. Nice. So now we have the delete button. Now if you click it, then the lead was deleted and I was now redirected back to the list. Nice. Now we are able to delete leads. Maybe we should show a little message here that the lead was deleted. So Django messages. Django has built-in support for session messages. Just need to import that thing in the views.py file. From Django.contrib import messages. So let me go back to views.py. Add it there. No, I want to add it at the top. From Django.contrib import messages. And then here we want to add a success message. So to do that, we just say below where it was deleted, the lead was deleted, and save. The problem now is that we haven't made it possible to show this in the template, so that can be the next step. So just copy this, go back to leads list. And when I think about it, the messages should probably be here inside the base.html, because we probably want to show messages different places. So here we can check if there are messages in the session, and then div class py6 and px6. And then in here we want to loop through the available messages. So you can just say for message in messages and for, and then for each of the available message we want to show a new div. So div class. So I want some space inside this. So py4 and px4, and then we can have a background color to be teal, so it's green, bg teal 300 and rounded -xl. And then in here we just say curly braces message, and Django will show this for us now. So if I go back now and refresh, there are no messages. But if I go into this, click delete, then it will show up there. And now we don't have any leads there. And if I refresh now, this message will automatically disappear because Django have now shown this for us and don't want to show it again. Nice. Just want to set the text to be white inside there and save. So we can actually have these messages when we create new leads as well. The lead was created, and yes, when we edit one, we also want the message. So let's try to create a new lead. Just add some random information here, submit. And now the lead was created, and then actually I want to send us to the leads page. So leads list and save. So if I go back there now, we have this here that we just created. So now I want to make it possible to go in here and click edit to edit this lead. So to do that, we can go in and just make a copy of the template. So add lead, copy this, save it as edit lead. And then the rest here can just be like it is. Save, add leads, edit, and save. So then we need a view for this as well. And I can just use the add lead form. But I want to make a copy of this so that we can get the lead from the database. At login required def leads edit request, and we need a primary key here as well, like that. And then we can do the same thing as we do down here. We can check if the user has submitted this, and if so, we create a new form and pass in this information. And then we check that if the form is valid, then we can say form.save, because now we have this in the database already. The problem now is that Django will try to create a new object for us, so we need to pass in the information that we already have about the lead. So at the end here we can say comma instance equals lead. So we pass in this information, and then Django knows that we just want to update the information we have. And then we can copy this. The lead was edited, or the changes was saved, like that. And then we redirect this back to the leads list. And if not, we just create a new empty instance of this form, like that. And then we can just return render like that. Leads, edit, and save. So now we have it like this. And then the next step is to fix the URLs. So path, here we also want the integer called primary key, edit, views dot leads, edit, name, leads, edit, and save. Great. So the last step then is to add the button here next to the delete one. href, whoops, URL, leads, edit, and pass in the lead.id, edit, and save. So if I go and refresh now, we have the edit button here. and then it was sent here, but there are no information here, and that is because in the views.py I didn't pass it in as an instance here. Instance equals lead. So refresh, and now we have the information. Nice. Edited. Let me try to do this. Submit. The changes was saved, and then you can see down here that it's now named ASDF edited. Nice. So now we have the possibility to add, delete, and edit leads in this system here. So I just want to make sure that this button is green and this is a red button, so you don't mistake these two. So let me just go into the leads detail page, class, then we need some space on both of these, py2, px4, rounded-xl, text white, and I want the button on top to be bg teal 500, and this one to be bg red 500, and save. So if I refresh, this makes a little bit more sense now. Green means that it's okay to do, and red means something dangerous is going to happen. So that looks a little bit better. Nice. The last thing I want to do then is to just delete this one and show a message down here if there are no leads in the database. So to do that, we can use a cool function here called empty. So instead of checking if there are leads, then we can just say there are no leads in the database yet. Refresh, and now you see this information. Nice. Maybe we should add a px2 here, so we have some space there. Save and refresh. You could also have this above here if you didn't want to show these either. So if not leads, sorry, if leads, of course, then we show these, else, and if, then we can move this down here, fix the indentation, and remove this. Oops. Refresh, and then you show it like this instead. Then we should also have a margin top up to the button, like that. There are no leads in the database yet. Nice. So now I can go to the to-do list and set this to done. And that was it for this part. In the next part of the series, we're going to start working on clients. I want to make it possible to click a lead and convert it to a client. So that means that we need a new Django app, we need new models, we need new views for listing out clients and similar. If you have any questions about this part, feel free to leave a comment below and answer as soon as I can. See you in the next video.